Coach, what have practices been like so far getting ready for the big game?
Yeah, they've been spirited. They've been spirited. I think obviously this is the I guess the 2 weeks you live for in terms of all the preparation, all the pageantry, all those things that go into this game. When you sign up to play Navy football, you cannot wait for this week or these 2 weeks for this environment.
What is this offense from Army shown you this year? I know they've put some new wrinkles in, but they also kind of went back to what they've been doing before in their last game.
Yeah, they have, and they did a little bit in the Holy Cross game too. They've shown the ability to run the football, put the ball downfield with play action pass. Their culture is, to turn a 1 yard gain into 3, a 3 yard gain into 5, and so forth. And they do a great job of that. They present a lot of challenges for us defensively. They play physical football. I think they do a great job up front. With the offensive line, they've got skill players that are dynamic with the ball in their hands, and I think. Obviously the quarterback is the guy that makes them go, and he's playing at a high level.
Why does it always seem like this game comes down to rushing yardage and turnovers?
It's football at its finest. It's football at its finest. And I would throw explosive plays into there as well. I think those three things really determine the outcome of the football game, and obviously explosive plays, takeaways, and rushing yardage. It is football the way it was meant to be played by a bunch of young men that are doing the things for the right reason. It's a thing of beauty, that's for sure.
Thanks a lot, Coach.
Thanks, Scott.
Wags.
PJ, what can you say about the Army quarterback, Bryson Daly? What do you see out of him? What's he bring to the table? What do you think makes him a good quarterback?
Yeah, I think, like I said before, I think he makes them go. I think he obviously operates the offense extremely well, knows it inside and out. He's a physical runner, shows breakaway speed. Obviously had a huge touchdown run against Air Force early in that game, sort of set the tone for them offensively. He will run north and south. He'll lower his shoulder and try to gain those extra yardage. He'll find his playmakers in the passing game and deliver the football to those guys. I just think he's when he's out there, they just operate at a higher level. I think, I don't know him personally, but what you see from them on film is when he's out there, he has to have some amazing leadership qualities, because you see everybody else operating at a high level when he's out there for them. I just have nothing but respect for the way that he plays the game and the way that he operates the offense. And by no means am I saying that as something derogatory. I think he's a really, really good football player.
So could you kind of break down what Army has moved to as far as offensively? I mean, they've gone from under center to shotgun. I mean, kind of what do you see as the general plan? Because initially Jeff Monken announced, or it was reported that he scrapped the option, but I don't know that they've scrapped the option. They're just running a different style of option. Wouldn't that be fair to say?
They're doing a lot, Wags. They give you a lot of different presentations of things that are probably very similar for them, things that they're able to operate, but make it tough and complex for the defense to be able to comprehend and do. And I think they've done a very nice job designing the offense to accentuate what their guys really do well. And that's what presents a lot of challenges for you defensively is that they do a heck of a lot. And it seems like a lot for defenses, but I'm sure for them, the playbook is not quite as comprehensive as it seems for the defenses that they're facing.
So it's the biggest thing that they're just operating out of shotgun and using zone blocking schemes as opposed to under center and more man-to-man blocking schemes?
Yeah, and I don't know if that's necessarily the biggest thing, but maybe that's what sort of meets the eye is, that they're in the gun. Obviously, that's something that they didn't do a ton in years past, but in these CIC games, that just sort of is sort of what ends up coming out is some gun runs and some gun play actions and drop back passes and quick passes and RPOs and things like that. I think they've just sort of added to what they're doing defensive or offensively to give the defense more and more headaches.
So, I mean, do you expect them to morph back and forth between gun and zone blocking and then the old traditional flex bone like they did against Coastal?
I think we got to be prepared for about anything. These games, you never quite know exactly what you're going to see, and you gotta chase a lot of ghosts and make sure the guys are prepared, and then do an excellent job adjusting and communicating those things on the sideline as the game continues to move forward. They're well coached. They're going to have wrinkles. They're going to have things that are surprises. And we got to do our best to make sure our guys have an opportunity to see a lot of different things over the next 2 weeks, but not too much where it slows us down. We got to know our job. We got to be able to play fast with great fundamentals and violent football.
So obviously some good news for Colin Ramos, Rayon Lane, and Will Harbor all being named all American Athletic Conference. But a guy who's been overlooked for 4 years for honors, postseason honors, but Donald Biscuit Bernard. It's hard to believe he's been a 4-year starter and a pretty darn effective nose guard, and not once has anyone thought, wow, that's an off-conference type player.
Yeah, I got a little heated, to be totally honest with you. I think our D-line is exceptional, and not just Biscuit, but all those guys up front. I think Coach Hall has those guys playing at a high level, and I think we get some linebackers and we get some DBs, and I'm not taking anything away from those guys. Those guys have played excellent football, but it all starts up front. It all starts up front. So if our D-line doesn't play to the level that they've been playing all season, those guys back there have no shot to be able to do those things. So Justin Reed, Biscuit, Clay Cromwell, Luke Pierce, those guys up front have set the table for the other 4 guys to be able to get all conference. And I'm not taking anything away from Colin Ramos. He's a phenomenal player. He knows what I feel about him, and Will Harbor and Deshaun Peel and Ray Lane. Those guys are exceptional players, and they deserve every bit of all conference. But I've watched plenty of film on defenses in this conference, and I would not trade those D linemen for anybody. Those guys are PJ Volker, dark side defense, Navy football, all conference, over and over and over again. Those guys are paramount to our success defensively.
Thanks, PJ.
Thanks, Wags.
Pete.
I love dudes from the dark side. PJ,
Me too.
Each time you guys didn't perform up to your capabilities, your players bounce back from those performances. As you've observed them do that now multiple times, what were the keys to doing that? And obviously now having 2 weeks to decompress from that and then ramp back up for the biggest football game of the year. Do you see that happening again?
I think the keys for it are, number one, leadership. I think we've got a great group of seniors and upperclassmen that lead this group in the right way. And obviously we did not play to the level that we expect to play last time we were out there. And I think it's a resilient bunch. They let those things, roll off their back to a certain extent, but then they're accountable as well, Pete. And I think that's that's the thing, is we have to be accountable to each other when we don't get the job done. And and we're all at fault. I'll tell you the same thing. When we win, it's all on the players. When we lose, it's all on us as coaches. And we got to find a way to make sure our guys understand their jobs better, that they're accountable. And then we got to go under a microscope and find out what exactly went wrong, why it went wrong, identify it, and fix it. And I think we've been able to do that before, and we'll continue to be able to do that. And hopefully to a much lesser extent moving forward.
Well, I mean, let's face it, you're playing against some of the best athletes this sport has to offer now when you play against offensive football players. Does it sometimes just come down to those guys executing at an elite level, and in some cases elite by, inches sometimes? Because you guys early in the game were close to a couple of big plays. Stone makes a couple of, throws by a micro that are on point. They turn out to be big plays. Is it simply sometimes just the other group has that kind of day against you when something like that happens?
And Pete, it may be, but the competitor in me just can't allow myself to give them that type of credit. I think we control what we can control, and obviously, there weren't guys, just butt naked running around out there, which you never want as a defense. It's not a lot of, blown coverages and things like that. You're right, we're inches away, but that's who we are. We have to be guys that fight for those inches, and they matter drastically for us. And yeah, there was opportunities, especially early in the football game, to be able to make some plays when we're in some tough situations, and there's some weird things going on out there, and we just got to find a way to continue to fight for those inches, because they're going to matter. They're going to matter this next Saturday, that's for sure. This is going to be a game that's won or lost by those inches, and we get that, but I just can't. I can't just rubber stamp that and say it's those guys making plays. It's things that we got to be able to compete for on our end.
Yeah, completely understand that. I apologize if it's been asked earlier, but no matter how many snaps you may be able to get him for, just to have Jacob Busick out, around, dressed, back in the fold in that manner, just how much more does that bring to that side of the football? I mean, he's done a great job as an assistant coach on the sideline for several weeks now, but to be able to dress him up and send him out there in some capacity, just how much more does that lift that group in your mind?
Well, he's a captain for a reason, and you talk about being a captain at the United States Naval Academy. Obviously, it's a big deal, and to have him back is enormous for our football team, for our defense. Just obviously the leadership he provides, but the playmaking ability that he brings is exceptional as well. And I think for all the guys out there on our football team, the younger guys, the guys that have gotten banged up and injured and things like that, it's again another example of resolve and resiliency. For a guy to continue to work and rehab, to get himself back to have this type of opportunity. There's a lot of people that want to be able to get themselves in this opportunity. So I think that's a huge feather in his cap, and a great example of leadership for really the entire football team.
All hail the dark side. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Pete.
Scott Wyckoff.
Coach, what's it like competing against a team that you know so much about, but also they know so much about you?
Yeah, it's challenging, but that's what makes it fun. You live for these opportunities, in coaching. When we go into kids' homes and recruiting, you're talking about this game, and they're going to have the opportunity at some point in their career to play in this game. And we have a little bit of extra time than you generally do in a game week, and sometimes that can be good, sometimes it can be bad, but it allows us to continue to dig into years past and things that they've had success on. The other CIC games, you're evaluating those and seeing successful plays from those games and what you need to do to implement and articulate your plan and get it crystal clear so the guys can fly around out there. But, they know us well. We know them well. There's going to be wrinkles throughout the course of the game, like we talked about earlier, and you got to be able to communicate those things on the sideline and adjust. And it's an exciting time of the year. This one's been circled for a long time.
With so much emotion going into this game and so much around it, how important is it to find that fine line between being emotional and playing with that energy, but not playing outside yourself and having it get the best of you?
It's critical. There's no other way to describe it. It's critical. We talk at nauseum around that, about that around here. And using there's a couple of things we say we got to play with emotion, but you can't let emotion play with you. So that, and it's easier said than done. You get into the environment, there's 68,000 people there or whatever it is, and there's 10 million plus watching on television. That the cameras are there pregame and shooting shots at you when you come out of the tunnel and things like that. Like, the guys are aware of all that stuff, but when it comes down to it, it's dominating your job one play at a time. In between that 53 and the third and that 120, it just comes down to winning your one-on-one battle over and over and over again. And really, that's, if we can just put the blinkers on and be able to focus on that, that's where we'll be able to be at our best.
Thanks for your insights.
Thanks, Scott. Appreciate it.
Wags.
You're talking about Busick. Are you shocked that he has come back? I mean, I interviewed Jacob, month and a half ago, and he was devastated. And I know in his mind he thought he was done. He didn't sound to me like he was pointing toward a comeback. Although I know he was working hard, and I know he got back in the weight room pretty quickly after his surgery. But I didn't think that he thought he was going to play again this season.
I guess milk does a body good. I don't know. I was shocked. I got the phone call and certainly not what I was expecting. But it's a wonderful surprise, that's for sure. And like I said, I think it's a testament to him and his hard work, and obviously our doctors and our training staff and our strength staff to be able to all pitch in to get him back up and running as soon as possible.
So having not played in, I don't even know how long, I think he got hurt in the third or fourth game of the season. And can he even be effective? I mean, what do you feel like he can help you? I mean, that's a long layoff of not playing football.
It is. You're right. It is. And it's all about preparation. It's all about preparation and getting out there and really practicing the way that you need to, and for him to gain confidence and the way he feels out there on the field. I think it's all comes back to that, and I don't see any reason why he can't. He's an exceptional football player, and obviously he's played a few games this year. It's not quite as long a layoff as maybe from the end of the season to the start of the season, obviously. But I'm excited about it.
So what have you learned during your previous Army-Navy games about the game? And, is there anything that, you feel better prepared for because of your experience in the game?
I think it's just like anything else, Wags. The more you do something, the more you become versed in all the nuances and things of it. And it's obviously it's a big football game. The pageantry, the rivalry, there's nothing like it. There's not. just think it's the greatest rivalry in all of sports. And, for me, it's you got to remain even keeled, just the same way we talk to our players about is, it's okay to have emotion. You just can't let it play with you. And it's the same thing for us as coaches. We've got to keep a level mind, have clear eyes, and be able to get done the job that we need to get done on game day. But for me, in 2019 was my first one. I could not wait for that game. In these 2 weeks, you cannot wait for it. But along the way, you just got to prepare the right way to make sure that it is the way that it needs to be on December 9th.
Thanks, PJ.
Thanks, Wags.
Pete.
PJ, Scott asked you about the players, but I'll ask you this question. You mentioned it earlier about being a competitor. You're a guy that's very enthusiastic about football. How do you and the staff stay, on that even keel to make sure you're covering all of your bases in preparation?
Yeah, I think it's the same thing. Like we tell our guys, breathe, focus, explode. And that's been, a big deal for us over the last few years. And it's the same thing as coaches. Like you got to take a deep breath. You got to focus on, whatever the task is that you have. We all have assignments on every play that we have to get done. And we all have to be accountable to each other to be able to get those things done. It's as a competitor, you love these environments, and college football, this rivalry, come out to a packed stadium. I told some of the new coaches were asking me about what's the sound like. I was like, well, half the stadium's cheering one time, half the stadium's cheering the other time. And then really by the end of the game, just everybody's cheering the entire time. So there's no that it's going to be quiet on, third down or fourth down and those got to have it situations or anything like that. It's going to be loud. Really the whole game, the opening kickoffs, phenomenal. Everybody bouncing around, jumping around, going nuts, all that type of stuff. So, it's just football at its finest. The atmosphere, the game itself, the people that are playing the game, the young men that are playing the game. It's a thing of beauty. And I think we're all excited about it.